The alert came in at 2:17 a.m. Layla Hassan had been awake for 3 hours. Not because she could not sleep. She was 24 and healthy and under ordinary circumstances slept easily. She was awake because 6 weeks ago, she had noticed something in the network traffic logs at Veritech Systems, and she had been unable to stop noticing it. And tonight, the thing she had been watching had stopped being a subtle anomaly and become something that required a decision. The decision was simple in form and expensive in implication. Do I call someone right now, at 2:17 a.m. as an intern, about a threat that the company's entire security infrastructure has not flagged and that nobody above my level knows anything about? She looked at the alert on her personal laptop. She thought about what it would mean if she was wrong. The call to the incident desk in the middle of the night. The explanation that would begin with, "I am the security intern. I have been monitoring the network on my personal laptop without authorization for 6 weeks, and I think we are under attack." She thought about what it would mean if she was right. She thought about her father's voice, about the phrase she had heard so many times that it stopped being something she heard and had become simply the way she thought. She picked up her phone. Layla Hassan had grown up in Dearborn, Michigan, the elder child of Tariq Hassan, a software engineer who had emigrated from Egypt at 26 and who had, in the 30 years since, developed the specific love for his adopted country that immigrants who have earned something from it often carry. And Amina Hassan, a mathematics teacher who was brilliant at her subject and gently disappointed when the world did not share her enthusiasm for it. Between them, they had given Layla 2 things that most parents give separately and few give together: the conviction that she was capable of understanding anything she applied herself to, and the discipline to actually apply herself. Her father had a phrase. He said it so often that by the time Layla was 12 it had become background noise. The way you stop consciously hearing music in a room you live in, but it shapes you without your knowing. The phrase was, "The absence of an alert is not the same as the absence of a problem. It means your monitoring does not know what to look for." She had written her undergraduate thesis on exactly this principle: anomaly detection in network security systems. Specifically, the gap between what standard monitoring infrastructure is designed to catch and what sophisticated adversaries are specifically designed to avoid. She had graduated top of her class at Michigan. She had been offered positions at 6 companies and had chosen Veritech Systems specifically because its infrastructure complexity presented the most interesting monitoring challenge of any of them. She had been at Veritech for 6 weeks. She made $42,000 a year, prorated to her 6-month contract. She sat in the open plan area near the coffee machine. She attended the weekly security team meeting and listened more than she spoke. She was referred to in emails from people who did not know her name as the security intern. She had also, in those 6 weeks, noticed something that nobody else had noticed. It had started in her 2nd week. She had been reviewing traffic logs, standard onboarding, getting familiar with normal patterns, and she had seen something that was not, by any standard measure, alarming: a periodic anomaly in the traffic volume. Small, appearing every 4 to 7 days, lasting between 11 and 30 minutes, then disappearing completely, leaving no trace in the monitoring logs. Anomalies that leave no trace are not anomalies the monitoring system was built to see. They are below the threshold of detection. This is either reassuring, the thing that caused the anomaly was benign, and the monitoring is working correctly, or it is the most alarming thing possible, depending on what caused it. Layla had a very specific instinct, trained by 4 years of undergraduate study and sharpened by her father's phrase, that the second interpretation was correct. She raised it with her supervisor, a decent man named Paul who managed the Intern program with genuine care for the people involved and genuine limitations in his technical depth. "Interesting," Paul had said. "Let me look into it." He had not looked into it. Layla had understood this within a week. Paul was managing 12 competing priorities, and the anomaly she had flagged was small and unconvincing by the metrics his monitoring system used. But she had understood that nobody was going to investigate this for her, so she had done it herself. On her personal laptop in the evenings, using the network access logs she was legitimately authorized to review as part of her onboarding. She had built a detection model, not using Veritech's infrastructure, which she was not authorized to modify, but using her own computing resources, running the traffic patterns through the analytical framework she had developed for her undergraduate thesis. She had been running this model for 5 weeks. She had refined it. She had eliminated the false positives one category at a time until the model was producing reliable results. At 2:17 a.m. on a Tuesday in February, the model returned something that was not a small anomaly. It returned a coordinated exfiltration attempt. She understood what she was seeing immediately. Not because she was exceptional. She was good, genuinely good. But this was not beyond the capability of any careful security analyst with the right framework. She understood it because she had been watching this specific threat for 5 weeks and had built a model specifically calibrated to its behavior. The attacker had been in probing mode for 43 days. The periodic anomaly she had noticed in week 2 was probe traffic. Small, targeted tests of specific access points designed to map the terrain without triggering standard alerts. They had been patient. 6 weeks of building a complete picture of Veritech's network architecture before they moved. They were moving now. The attack vector was a vendor integration point, a legitimate third-party access credential that had been compromised. The traffic looked on standard monitoring like normal vendor access. It was not. Data was being extracted at a rate that would, by morning, give the attackers access to a significant portion of Veritech's client data. Layla looked at the time. 2:19 a.m. She called the incident response desk. The analyst on duty was named Craig. He had been doing incident response for 8 years and had developed the finely calibrated skepticism of someone who handles a large number of false positives from well-meaning people in the small hours of the morning. He was not dismissive by nature. He was experienced, which is different. Incident response. Craig speaking. "My name is Layla Hassan. I am the security intern. I need you to pull the vendor traffic for the Nexus integration point right now and look at the session token refresh rate on the secondary authentication layer." A pause that contained, she imagined, a considerable recalibration. "Who did you say you were?" "The security intern, Layla Hassan. I have been monitoring an anomaly in the traffic pattern for 6 weeks. The anomaly is no longer anomalous. I believe we are currently being actively exfiltrated through a compromised vendor credential. I need you to look at the secondary authentication layer right now." "How did you get this number?" "Company directory." "Craig, please, the session token refresh rate. It will not look normal." A pause, then the sound of a keyboard, then silence. Not the silence of someone who has found nothing, but the silence of someone who has found something and is carefully processing what they are looking at. Then Craig's voice, entirely different. "Stay on the line. I am escalating." Before we continue, we want to hear from you. Tell us in the comments where in the world you are listening to this story from. If HeartLine Stories has ever made you feel something real, please like, subscribe, and share this channel. Every subscriber encourages us to keep bringing stories like this one. Now, back to Layla. Because the people who are about to walk into that security operations center at 4 in the morning are going to find something they were not expecting. She was in the office by 4:40 a.m., still in the clothes she had been wearing when the alert came in. The security operations center was fully lit and running with the particular energy of a room where something serious is being actively contained. Screens bright, voices low and focused. Dr. Patricia Hall was the Chief Information Security Officer. She was 51 years old, had been in cybersecurity for 22 years, and had the quality of people who are good enough at their field to have developed an accurate instinct for the difference between noise and signal. She had been called at 2:30 a.m. and was in the office by 3:15. She looked at Layla when she walked in, at the personal laptop under her arm. "You are the intern," she said. "Yes." "Sit down. Show me what you saw and how you saw it." Layla sat. She opened the laptop. She showed her everything: the 6-week anomaly log, the detection model, the progression from probe traffic to credential compromise to active exfiltration. She showed her the specific vendor credential that had been compromised, and the access pattern that made the attack look like legitimate traffic to standard monitoring. She showed her the gap between what Veritex monitoring was calibrated to catch and what this attack had been specifically designed to avoid. Dr. Hall watched in silence. She asked 4 questions. All 4 were precise and demonstrated that she'd understood more than was being shown to her. When Layla finished, Dr. Hall was quiet for a moment. 6 weeks, she said, on your personal laptop, without authorization. I had authorization to review the logs I was using, Layla said. I did not have authorization to build a secondary monitoring system from them. But I could not get authorization for the monitoring system without demonstrating the threat, and I could not demonstrate the threat without the monitoring system. It was a circular problem. So you solved it yourself, Dr. Hall said. I solved what I could with what I had, Layla said. Why? Dr. Hall asked. You could have dropped it. You raised it once with your supervisor. He did not act. Most interns in that position decide it is not their problem. Layla thought about her father's voice, about the phrase that had become the way she thought. Because I could see it, she said simply, and if I was right, it mattered. And it felt wrong to see something that mattered and decide it was not my problem because my job title was intern. Dr. Hall held her gaze for a long moment. Then she turned back to the screens. Good, she said. Let us finish this. The attack was contained by 7 Ekinonau Giuem. The compromised credential was revoked. The exfiltration pathway was closed. A forensic review determined that the attackers had been in probing mode for exactly 43 days, exactly as Layla's model had indicated, and had, in the 4 hours and 40 minutes of active exfiltration before her call to Craig, accessed a partial data set. Significant, but not the complete extraction they had been building toward. 3 days later, the regional security alert that Layla's call had triggered reached 2 other firms in the area. Both discovered that the same campaign had successfully compromised their networks. They had not had someone watching. The damage in both cases was considerably greater. Veritex's monitoring framework was reviewed by the security architecture team. Layla's detection model, built on her personal laptop without authorization in the evenings after work, was adopted as the basis for a new anomaly detection layer in the company's standard monitoring infrastructure. Paul, Layla's supervisor, was moved to a non-security role in IT operations. Layla was offered a full-time position before her internship contract ended. She negotiated, her mother's daughter, precise about numbers, clear about what she had demonstrated and what that demonstration was worth. She accepted a role as senior security analyst. 3 bands above entry level, with a specific mandate to lead the redesign of the company's anomaly detection framework. She called her father the evening the offer was finalized. He answered on the first ring, as he always did. "Senior security analyst," she said. A pause. Then her father laughed. The short, full, satisfied laugh of a man whose phrase has been vindicated by the universe in the most concrete possible terms. "The absence of an alert," he said, "is not the same as the absence of a problem," she finished. "You built the detection," he said, "not just the principle, the actual system." "I had a good framework to start from," she said. "Your thesis," he said. "Your phrase," she said, "repeated enough times to become the way I think." Her father was quiet for a moment, the particular quiet of a parent who has seen the thing they hoped for come to pass and is taking time to be fully inside it. "Go to sleep," he said. "You've been awake since yesterday." 26 hours, she said. "Layla." "I am going, Dad." "Yes. Thank you for saying it 1,000 times, even when I stopped consciously hearing it." "You never stopped hearing it," he said. "You just stopped knowing you were hearing it. That is how it works. That is how anything becomes the way you think." She sat at her desk in her apartment in Austin, the personal laptop closed now, the detection model that had changed everything saved on its hard drive, waiting to be transferred to Veritech's infrastructure in the morning, and looked out the window at the city doing whatever cities do at 2 in the morning. Somewhere in Veritech's network, the new monitoring threshold she had built was running, watching, calibrated not to the average threat, but to the specific shape of threats that do not want to be found, finding exactly what it had been built to find. Her father's phrase in the language of code, patient and watchful, running through the night. She went to sleep. If this story reached something in you, if it reminded you that being the quietest person in the room does not mean you have the least to say, please share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you have a story of your own, we want to hear it. Write to us at heartlinestories@gmail.com. Every heart has a story worth telling. This is HeartLine Stories, where yours matters.